Have I got a wager for you? You know the rules. I say how well I think a game will do. You say how well you think a game will do. We'll see who gets closer after release. White Knuckle is a first-person climber because, frankly, you don't have enough anxiety in your life. You're trying to escape what appears to be an industrial rock climbing gym made of concrete and steel. Do your best to ignore the sludge slowly filling the room or the tentacle-shaped shadows creeping up the walls beside you. Focus instead on the titular clammy pale hands in front of you. Hands which grow redder and shakier the longer you use them without a break until they eventually give out. It's so simple, yet oh so effective. I had to wring the sweat out of my mouse and keyboard a couple of times. And if we were to stop right here, I'd bet the house on this game, no questions asked. The atmosphere is oppressive, the immersion is impressive. Climbing games in general seem to do fairly well right now, ranging from what people might consider slop streamer bait to snob journo bait. There's Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, or a difficult game about climbing, and Chained Together, to name something more recent. Acid Flip Core at its finest. On the other end, there's Jusant, and the upcoming Cairn, I think that's how you say it. Therapy on the Rocks. We can even expand further from there and add Mount Your Friends, Jump King, or even Celeste. Just to really leverage my point that people seem to enjoy games about difficult ascents, but it's got to dig deep into the human core in some way or another, be it with outlandish humor, obscene tedium, or even a deep melancholy. And it's from personal experience that the climbing games that didn't do so well were the ones where the emotional extremes were subdued, like in Surmount, or Valley Peaks, which has as much emotional tension as listening to the Lumineers while going up an elevator in autumn. Yes, that is me recommending the demo. I don't think it's the cutesy art that did him in, as I believe Bread and Fred was received rather well and it's just as vibrant while still being a relationship stress test. Your climbing game's allowed to be cutesy and colorful, but it seems cozy climbing is a no-go for now. But is it possible to go too far in the other direction when talking about White Knuckle? There's already the usual level of terror one would expect from a brutalist free climb, made even more tense by the sight of your reddening hands. Palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, and to make matters worse, there's Mom Spaghetti. That's the pet name I've given to one of the monsters in the facility, for you see, the first-person climber is also a horror game. Difficult to say how that will be received. Most climbing games figure the climb is stressful enough without more PvE elements, and most horror games tend to be designed with the less dexterous in mind. More horrifying perhaps is the fact that there are combat elements as well. It's all too easy for combat mechanics to step on the toes of other mechanics. Take Tunic, for example. It's a rich, mind-tingling, isometric Metroidvania like the original Legend of Zelda with more emphasis on puzzles. 10 out of 10 in every respect except when it comes to the combat. Filtered Tunic Steam reviews by negative only. It's like reading eulogies someone would give after having to put down their grand for biting someone. Likewise, Scorn, a meaty H.R. Geiger wet dream of a gorish puzzle facility, had this same issue. Great atmosphere, tension you could taste, so-so puzzles, questionable price tag, a few odd bugs that softlocked the game, and combat that felt out of place with the rest of the game. Luckily, the horror game crowd seems to be more forgiving. But even then, at least you could take every game I mentioned so far, at your own pace. White Knuckle has an ever-rising well of sludge, adding a speed-running layer of stress. What I'm trying to get at is that not all tension is the same. Just because someone signed up to get slapped doesn't mean they're ready for whips and chains. Add on to that one more mechanic that will have people wanting to whip or chain you to the walls. Roguelike elements. I like roguelikes and roguelike accessories, but most of the time I don't like how they're implemented. Here I'm conflicted, because I feel the whole appeal to a climbing game is to overcome a struggle and make progress. From a social aspect, climbing games are a shared experience. People want to flock to gawk at you. People who also played the game will want to come through and see how you fail and succeed like they did. Whoa, I didn't know you could do that. Oh, here's that part that took me 3 hours. And for the sake of progress, these games also have what I call soft checkpoints. Once you get to a certain location, there's usually other parts of the map that'll prevent you from falling all the way back down, unless you really mess up. But in White Knuckle, while the overall shell is about the same, the handholds change around. The items spawn differently. The monsters spawn differently. And if you die, not because you failed at climbing, but because the sludge caught up to you, or a monster grabbed you, then you die, and it starts all over. You don't even get the satisfaction of a salty run back, because the map will have changed. But this does offer more replayability at face value, which might make it more appealing in this economy than a static map like, say, Peaks of Yore. Now this last bit's a doozy. From appearances, White Knuckle will be released in early access. I feel this once again compromises that shared sense of achievement. Did you climb Mount Everest before or after the patch notes? Or maybe again, this will make people more willing to play an ever-changing climber, like one of those rock climbing treadmill thingies. This is uncharted territory as far as I'm concerned, and I feel like this game has a solid enough core that's worth betting big. The emotional extreme is there. Other games in this genre tend to do well. This game's closest point of comparison is probably Lorne's Lure, and that did rather well. However, I am expecting conflicting sentiment. I'm betting White Knuckle will get the sales to be a huge commercial success, but I'm expecting the Steam rating to be not overwhelmingly positive, but very positive at best. Part of me even sees a world where this only ends up as mostly positive, but I'm feeling optimistic. What say you? Over or under?